Trevor Reed, the Texas Marine veteran locked up in a Russian prison for 2.5 years, is finally free after a prisoner exchange. And Aggieland has something new to brag about, what being the #1 college town in Texas means to the community. Your KRHD News starts right now.
Connecting the Brazos Valley, this is KRHD News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us today. I'm Brittany After 3 years in a Russian jail, Texas Marine Trevor Reed is finally heading home. Reed was released as a part of a prisoner exchange between Russia and the U.S. He had been arrested after being accused of assaulting a Russian police officer while drunk and was sentenced to 9 years in prison. His parents say he is innocent and they're happy to have him home.
He sounds kind of subdued. I think he's a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, he seemed to be in shock a little bit. We're just glad that obviously he's on his way home, but they also have a doctor on the plane, so he's getting checked out, and that was our main concern.
Reed was one of several Americans held in Russia. Another Texas WNBA star and former Baylor Bear, Brittany Greiner, is still being held with no word on her release. Early voting is open in the Brazos Valley, but officials say not many people are showing up to cast their ballots. Election officials say that of 121,000 registered voters in Brazos County, less than 250 have voted in the past 2 days. Two proposed amendments to the state constitution are on the ballot, one addressing lowering property taxes for elderly and disabled homeowners, the other increasing the homestead exemption amount to $40,000. If you're looking to cast your ballot on these propositions, head to one of these polling locations. In Bryan, the Brazos County Elections Office in downtown Bryan, Arena Hall, and Galilee Baptist Church. College Station voters can visit College Station Utilities Meeting and Training Building and Texas A&M's Memorial Student Center. Early voting is open through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and continues on Monday and Tuesday. Election Day is May 7th. Aggies, you might just have another bragging right added to your list. In a recent study, College Station was ranked the best college town in Texas. KRHD News reporter Krhd has more on those findings.
With the #1 ranked college town comes the booming business behind it that keeps the city running. Texas A&M is the heart that drives this college town. According to thebestcolleges.com, College Station is ranked at the top of the list. Matt Prochaska, CEO of the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation, says it's all about the economy here.
When we look at statistically the cost of living as well as the cost of education, Texas is still one of the lowest in the whole country.
The study looked at the proximity of colleges and towns, student-centered attractions, affordability, quality of education, and a safe place to call home. Prochaska says College Station has it all.
And particularly if you couple that with the fact that we don't have a state income tax and no corporate tax, it makes it even more attractive, not only for the students to get their education here, but then for companies to also flock to the Brazos Valley. And if you put that together, it really makes for a wonderful combination of both having the talent as well as the opportunities for jobs.
Tonight at 6, I'll be speaking to one locally owned business that is seeing the boom in their business for themselves. In College Station, Krhd, KRHD News.
College students trying to find housing for the upcoming fall semester may have a tough time. According to Apartment List, rent prices have increased nationally by 17% since 2020 and was even higher in popular college towns. A survey done by Temple University showed 43% of students at four-year universities experience housing insecurity in 2020. 14% of college students experience homelessness. The survey revealed students could not pay utilities or rent or lived in overcrowded units to try to make ends meet.
Peyton Smith isn't afraid to roll up her sleeves and get to work. In fact, this Aggie freshman made it her business to do other people's dirty laundry.
With Tide, you can pay to have your laundry done all for you. They take it from you, they wash it, they dry it, and they bring it back to you. Most students don't really do it just because of the pricing. Most of us didn't really have the opportunity to pay for it. So I kind of got the idea. I saw the truck on me. I was like, hey, students should start doing that.
But her side gig didn't end there. She expanded her business out of her dorm room and now across Bryan and College Station.
I got messages from an entrepreneur group, Women's in College Station, and basically they're like, this is a great idea, you should carry it on to other people in the public. And so, mothers, there's grandmothers, just families in general that were in that group that were like, oh, we could really use this help.
Now Peyton sees up to 20 regular clients a month, ranging from students to local families. Happy to have one less chore at home. Reporting in College Station, Diamond Dixon, KRHD News.
6 months after 10 people lost their lives in Houston at Travis Scott's Astro World, a documentary detailing survivors' stories is set to premiere in theaters across the state, including here in Bryan. KRHD reporter Rebecca Fiedler speaks with the film's creator.
Filmmaker Charlie Min says he wants to keep the story of Astroworld's victims alive with his new film titled Concert Crush.
I still don't get it. You go to a concert to have a good time. You don't go there to get killed. And here we are sitting almost half a year later, and what are we being told? Basically nothing.
Concert Crush tells the story of 8 people who survived the stampede during the large Houston concert back in November. Audiences will also hear from 3 attorneys and a security expert. But the movie's main focus is those victims.
It's step by step, minute by minute, blow by blow. It's a play by play of that night. And these 8 people showed a lot of courage, showed a lot of poise and maturity for their age. Their stories are harrowing.
KRHD reached out to several lawyers connected to the civil lawsuits against Travis Scott and Live Nation, and most declined on the account of a gag order placed by Harris County Judge Kristen Hawkins. According to an article published by Forbes magazine on April 18th, Live Nation has expressed concern to Judge Hawkins that the Concert Crush film will taint a potential jury pool. Houston law student Paris Millay says this is a possibility.
Films are very subjective in terms of who's making them. So if it's a film and it's, portraying this person to be at fault and ultimately liable for these people losing their lives, then it's definitely going to taint the jury pool.
Min has a challenge for the Texas A&M audience to treat the death of concert victim and Aggie senior Barty Shahani as a serious injustice worth speaking out for. Min says he wants the victims of Astroworld to be treated the same as any celebrity would if they had been killed.
Because it's Barty Shahani and she's not making millions of dollars and she's not the football coach at Texas A&M, she gets basically no attention. I don't know how else to say it, but it's just, that's the truth.
The movie premieres this Friday at Premier Cinema in Bryan with a minimum week-long run. Should turnout be strong, Min hopes to continue to book more shows. Reporting in Bryan, Rebecca Fiedler, KRHD News.
We are now in a new phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to top infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci. He says the United States is out of the full-blown pandemic phase, with COVID deaths and hospitalizations down significantly. We're transitioning to a controlled endemic. He says that doesn't mean the global pandemic is over, though. Now, regardless of the pandemic status, it's clear there's still a lot to learn from COVID-19. Some people taking the Pfizer antiviral treatment are reporting feeling sick and testing positive again shortly after they're done with all the medication. Now, that showed up in clinical trials. The FDA didn't find any evidence that infections were resistant to the treatment. In one study, researchers say through genetic code, it was the same virus surging back. Now, on the flip side, the same medication may help improve long COVID symptoms for some.
Symptoms were like crazy fatigue, really severe headaches, and then sleep disturbance.
Lavinia Vishabarthi was vaccinated and working at Northwestern Medicine's long COVID clinic when she got a breakthrough infection. This is video that they shared with us of her work. Now, her case, it's pretty unique in that she was already on a drug for rheumatoid arthritis that some doctors were actually using to treat COVID patients. She says that she never had any respiratory symptoms, but just that headache, fatigue, and sleep issues that really came on right away. They were persistent for months. Now, during that time, she also kept testing positive for COVID. Finally, her doctor prescribed her Paxlovid. Now, after the treatment, her symptoms did improve.
I want to put a caveat out there that though this worked for me, it may not work for everybody. And that is because, this is an incredibly heterogeneous condition, long COVID.
as so many people struggling with that. She wants to see more resources from the government for studying how the virus impacts the body and for how long. Also the development of antivirals. Now in her case, and with people still feeling sick after taking the pills, there is evidence that the virus lingers. In some COVID autopsy studies, the virus was even found in organs well over a year after initial infection. Now all of this helps validate people experiencing long COVID symptoms.
I'm on Twitter and I see all of these, patients with long COVID, and they're like, I went to my primary care doctor, I went to my dentist. They're like, oh, you don't have COVID. You don't have long COVID. That doesn't exist. And I kind of feel like, that stigma is really making people lose trust in the healthcare system, sure. But it's also like, there may be options for, treatment or at least diagnosis that they may not understand. And I do think rheumatology needs to get a lot more involved in this story.
Northwestern's Long COVID Clinic has a number of specialists that are working to treat people for their specific symptoms. Long COVID is estimated to affect up to 30% of people infected.
It has been a pretty nice day here across the Brazos Valley with some clouds and some sunshine across the region. I think the clouds will start to be building in over the next few hours, though, as we can see that on approach from the west. Now starting to envelop Milam County. This will continue to push into Brazos, but notice there's no rain associated with these clouds, so we're not anticipating anything like that. And that will eventually come to a stop probably just east of Highway 6. So some of us seeing clouds tonight, while others will be clear. Any thunderstorm activities way out here across New Mexico. That's going to move into the Texas Panhandle, but will get nowhere close to us. So let's check out your forecast and your future track as we make our way into the morning hours. Notice the clouds pushing into the area. That will keep temperatures a little bit warmer than what we saw last night. Then as we move into the afternoon, they break up. Partly cloudy skies. Winds get a little gusty out of the south at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and it will be warm. Then as we go into Friday, we'll do it all over again with some clouds in the morning, partly cloudy skies in the afternoon. I think rain chances stay away the next couple of days, but as we move into the weekend, there'll be some slight storm chances, but best chances will likely reside north and west of our area. So tonight, temperatures will be down into the 60s for us. It'll be about 65 Bryan College Station and 64 in Hearn. Upper 50s, though, where the clouds may not quite take over fast enough across our northeastern areas. Then tomorrow, highs into the middle 80s. Should be a pretty nice day, but again, the wind's going to start to pick up on us the next couple of afternoons, and that's going to be going right into your weekend as well. So looking at that 10-day forecast, 86 turns into 88 on Friday with morning lows down into the low 70s. Saturday, Sunday, isolated thunderstorms are possible. Maybe a better chance sneaking in here as we head into Monday.
Cities are rolling out new strategies to build more housing and do it faster. Amanda Brandeis explains how one approach is working to incentivize new development and create affordable housing.
There's no place like home if you can't afford one.
We've really been underbuilding housing for decades now.
The debate today, how and where to build more.
Policymakers throughout the country are recognizing they really do have a problem. They've been making it too hard to build homes. All of these things that they have to get done, and there's so many ways that that can fail.
Once a corporate lawyer, Colin Parrott now spends his days tackling the issue in his hometown of San Diego, home to some of the most unaffordable living in the country.
If you own your own home, you're really not worried about the price of housing for yourself. You're worried about your kids being able to have a place to live. You're worried about your parents being able to retire and live in dignity.
He works for a nonprofit advocating for affordable housing solutions, like one passed in 2016. The city boosted incentives for developers that set aside a portion of units for affordable housing. If an area is zoned for 100 market rate units, they could dedicate 15 as affordable and get 50 bonus market rate units.
There's actually two buildings behind me. One is
Jimmy Silverwood is among developers embracing new incentives.
Able to spread the construction cost across more units.
In 2020, 44% of new
So many of us have stories about our car or someone we know having their car getting towed. More cities and states are now considering new protections against predatory towing. But one issue that is largely still not covered nationwide, towing kickbacks. 34 states currently allow them. That is according to a new report out today from the U.S. PIRG Education Fund. States that ban kickbacks do vary in how comprehensive the laws are.
Basically, kickbacks kind of incentivize property owners to, or even law enforcement, to allow a vehicle to be towed when maybe that vehicle isn't a problem, or, maybe it's not even parked in properly. And it's like, hey, psst, come over here. We've got some cars that maybe they're 6 inches too close to the line next to them.
Some states prohibit towing companies from paying kickbacks to anyone to reduce an incentive to tow when it's not a legit reason. Texas is one state that does take it even further. It prohibits a property owner from having a stake in the towing company.
We are seeing renewed interest, not just on the kickback side, but on other towing protections. Just common sense things like, okay, have a maximum fee. If you tow somebody properly, okay, fine. But guess what? How about if you tell them that you towed them and give them a phone number to call and tell them where their stinking car is so they can go get it. And the laws are just all over the place in the country, and it's just not fair.
Detroit and Memphis are two cities that have passed additional protections around towing recently. Boston, Baltimore, and Colorado have all have proposals currently in the works. Now, Teresa Murray, who worked on this report, says that more states are interested in modeling their own predatory towing protections after places where they see laws working. The State Attorney General's office is also a good place to get started with getting a towing complaint resolved if the company isn't working with you. You may be able to detect COVID well before you have any symptoms. Tomorrow, what researchers have created as a way to do that using just your heart rate and step count from your fitness tracker, and how they think that this could be applied to other infections in the future.
World News Tonight is just ahead, and we're back in 30 minutes for KRHD News at 6. Until then, have a good